A moment with a stranger. It started in the quiet corner of a midnight cafe, where the hum of conversation was low and the scent of coffee hung softly in the air. I was lost in a book, yet somehow aware someone was watching me. Across the room sat a stranger. Dark eyes. Steady gaze. No words. Just a silence that said, "I see you." When I finally looked up, our eyes met, not just for a second. It lingered. It held. And then, like the pull of gravity, we both stood, no questions asked. Outside, the night wrapped around us like a secret. We walked in silence, steps sensing as if we'd done this before. The city lights flickered above, but I only felt the warmth of his presence beside me. We didn't know each other's names. Didn't need to. When his fingers brushed mine, it was electricity. Not the kind that shocks, but the kind that melts. That soft, slow burn that moves from the skin to the soul. In the dim light of his apartment, words were still missing. But his hands were honest. His touch was careful. As if he was learning me like a story, one page at a time. Clothes didn't fall off, they were undone. Breaths didn't rush, they deepened. Time didn't pass, it paused. That night wasn't wild. It was quiet. Gentle. And yet, every inch of it was unforgettable. The next morning, I woke up alone. No note. No name. Just the scent of skin and something beautiful left behind in the sheets. A moment. With a stranger. And somehow it was enough. Days passed, but he didn't fade. His absence wasn't painful. It was haunting. Not like a wound. But like a whisper that stayed in the corners of my mind. Every time I walked past that same cafe, I wondered. Was he real? Or just a moment made of moonlight and longing? One evening, I found myself back there. Same corner. Same book. But my hands were shaking as I turned the page. I didn't see him come in. But suddenly, the air shifted. He was behind me. That voice, low, familiar. Still chasing stories. I turned. He smiled. And just like that, the night unraveled again. But this time, slower. He sat across from me. We didn't rush. He told me his name. I told him mine. And somehow, that made it more dangerous. Because now we were real. He walked me home. The touch of his hand on my back was enough to ignite everything all over again. But this time, we weren't strangers. We were something more complicated. A flame we should feed, but couldn't resist. In my room, his kiss was slower. His breath warmer. His hands remembered me. Mine memorized him. There were no promises. No forever. Just the kind of connection that exists in rare, perfect silences. Between two people who know. This, whatever it is, might be temporary. But tonight, it's everything. He started appearing in the quiet moments of my life. Not just in my bed, but in my thoughts. In the way I smiled at random things. In the songs that suddenly meant something. It wasn't supposed to be this way. It was one night. Then two. Now, I couldn't stop wondering where he was. When he wasn't with me. We never called it love. Never asked the questions. That would ruin what we had. But it was more than a secret. It was an escape. A world built between our skin and silence. Some nights, he'd just lie next to me. Fingertips tracing the curve of my shoulder. Breathing in sync. Like even our lungs had fallen into rhythm. But I started noticing the pauses in his voice. The way he looked away. When I asked simple things. Where were you last night? Are you seeing someone else? He'd never lie. But he never told the truth either. One night, after the way he held me like he didn't want to let go, he whispered, "Don't fall for me." And I smiled. Because I already had. I didn't say it. Didn't beg for more. I just kissed him. Like it was the last time. Because maybe it was. He left before sunrise. Like always. But this time, he took more than just his clothes. He took a piece of me with him. And I was left there. Alone. Wrapped in sheets that still smell like him. Heart beating louder. That it should. Days turned cold. Not just outside. But between us. He didn't text. Didn't call. Didn't walk through my door at midnight the way he used to. At first, I told myself he was busy. That he'd come back. He always did. But a week passed. Then two. And the silence became louder than his voice ever was. I still went to the cafe. Sat in our usual corner. Ordered the same drink he liked to steal sips from. One evening, the waitress handed me something with my bill. A folded note. No name. You made me feel something I wasn't ready for. I didn't disappear. I just couldn't stay. I stared at the paper until the words blurred. Not from time. But from the tears I promised myself I wouldn't cry. It wasn't heartbreak. Not exactly. It was more like an unfinished song. A book without its final page. A flame that went out before it could burn. He left me with no answers. Only memories. Each one sharper than the last. And the worst part. He taught me how to feel again. Then vanished. But some nights, when the world is still and the air tastes like him, I close my eyes and whisper to the dark. If I see you again, would I walk away? Or fall even deeper? I don't know. And that terrifies me.